So our form is ready, and now we can start working with the database objects. And as always, the first thing we're going to do is establish connection. So I'll go up here and create an object for the OLEDB connection. And I'm going to import system data OLEDB. And I'll just call it con. Now a connection needs to be preserved throughout the whole time the form is active. So I'm not going to dispose of it until the form is ready to be closed. So let's do that next. I'm going to go to our form design. I'll go to the properties of the form, and I'll click the events, and on the closing of the form I'm going to create an event. I'll just call it form closing, and here we can dispose of the object for the connection. So our con will close it first, and then we'll dispose of it. Alright, so our object is created. So on the load, we want to connect to our database, and I'm using the books database, and we know that the string on this site, and I'm going to create it or pass it over here. So I'm going to create a connection string variable and pass the string in there, and of course I'll use the @ symbol in front of it to avoid double slashes. And my database is in C drive DB folder, and it's called books. So that is my connection string, and now I can establish the connection by instantiating the connection object. So our con will equal the new OLEDB connection, and we'll pass the con string to it. So we have the connection. Now we just open it by using the con.open method, and now we are ready to work with the database. Now we have to realize that there's gonna be 26 buttons, and each one will display a different result set from the database. However, the core will be the same. The command for selecting the records will be simply selecting all the records from the author table, the titles table, and the publishers table, and we will match the first letter of the author's name in a where clause. Basically, we will select all the names that correspond with the first letter, which is the letter that is displayed on the button. So when we click, let's say, letter C, we'll display all the books that belong to the authors whose name starts with letter C. So I'm going to construct the basics of my command, but first let me just do the string of the command itself, because it's gonna be fairly long. So it's going to be a string, I'll call it SQL, and I'm going to create the SQL statement. And the statement is gonna be like select, and we are selecting the authors from the authors table. If you remember from previous exercise, we can change the names of the tables or assign new names to the tables to create it a little shorter. Rather than typing authors for the table dot author, we can assign a letter A to the table authors. So it's just shorter to type. T would be for the titles that we want, and we want to also display, let's say, the publisher name. So P dot name. So that's the first portion of it. Now, just so you can see it better, I'm going to add to it a next statement. We are going to select it from, and the tables are authors as A, because that's the new name I'm giving it. From tables titles as T, and from tables publishers. However, there's also the title underscore author table. Remember, that one connects the authors and the titles based on the author ID and the ISBNs. So I also need to put that in the from statement. So we will also do title underscore author as TA. And I'll concatenate another statement, and it's going to be the where clause. So it's going to be where a.auid equals the ta.auid, because remember the title author table is named TA now, and I have the author ID in it as well as in the authors table, so I match those. And I'm also going to match the ISBN. So I will do and t.isbn equals the ta.isbn. So I'm matching the ISBN from the titles table and the title underscore author table. And since I'm also on the publisher name, I also need to put that in a where clause. So it's gonna be and the publisher ID is in titles table and the publishers table. So I'll simply match those. So t.pub ID equals the p, which is for the publishers table, dot pub ID. And that is our basic command. So at the end of it, each button will add another condition, which is going to be the starting letter of each author that we want. But the base of the whole command is the same. So rather than typing this whole thing again and again, we can just use the string and add to it and concatenate it for each of the button clicks. So let's go down here, and we can start working on the button click event next.